The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Ray Fittipaldo argued it's a bad sign the Pittsburgh Steelers ran the ball well without tight end Pat Freiermuth playing much in Week 4. By the quarter mark of the NFL season, teams generally start to determine their identifies. If that's the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, that could be a bad sign for veteran Pat Freiermuth. That's what the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Ray Fittipaldo argued Tuesday after Freiermuth played just 15 offensive snaps in Week 4 against the Minnesota Vikings. The 15 offensive snaps for Freiermuth set a new career low. Prior to Week 4, the tight end had never played fewer than 22 offensive snaps in an NFL game. He also had played fewer than 28 offensive snaps just once in his Steelers career. That was a very low snap total on Sunday for a starting T, especially when you are paying $12 million annually, wrote Fittipaldo. But without Freiermuth playing much, the Steelers experienced their best offensive day on the ground. Fittipaldo argued that could mean more low snap count games for Freiermuth going forward. I understand they went to big personnel with Spencer Anderson and Darnell Washington to get the run game going. It was very effective, which only leads to the question, will Freiermuth get squeezed out of snaps every week? Fittipaldo wrote, if that's the only way to run the ball effectively, then that's a problem. I'm sure Freiermuth will be utilized more both as a blocker and a receiver, but there are some very real questions about his usage going forward after the success they had on the ground against the Vikings. The Steelers ran for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns while averaging 4.5 yards per carry versus Minnesota. In their first 3 contests, the Steelers posted 63 rushing yards per game and 2.8 yards per attempt. Steelers' Pat Freiermuth sets career low in snaps versus Vikings. The Steelers drafted Freiermuth at number 55 overall in the 2021 NFL Draft to be their all-everything tight end. Freiermuth has been a solid player over his 4+ seasons in Pittsburgh. In 2 of his 4 seasons, he's registered more than 60 catches and at least 650 receiving yards. But some pundits are still waiting for Freiermuth to produce more as a pass catcher. If healthy and with a more consistent quarterback, Freiermuth appeared to have star potential when he entered the league. No big pass-catching breakout is happening, though, in 2025. Freiermuth only has 7 catches and 65 receiving yards in 4 games this season. Over the past 2 games, he has 1 catch on 3 targets for 6 yards. He didn't have a target in Ireland against the Vikings. But for Freiermuth to be more involved for quarterback Aaron Rodgers, the tight end obviously has to get on the field. You have to be on the field to be targeted. We had this same discussion last week about Metcalf, Fittipaldo wrote. They finally decided they were going to make that a priority, and they got him more involved. Maybe all it takes is a concerted effort from Arthur Smith to make that happen. But as I noted above in response to the first question, if the Steelers have to play Anderson and Washington to run the ball effectively, then that's going to eat into Freiermuth's snap counts. Do Steelers have new tight end pecking order? The Steelers have a loaded tight end room this season. Entering the fall, the thought was that Jonnu Smith and Darnell Washington would see a dip in playing time compared to last season. Instead, Freiermuth, Smith, and Washington have pretty much split opportunities through 4 games. Smith leads Steelers tight ends with 130 offensive snaps this season. Washington is second with 117 snaps, while Freiermuth has 112. With 112, Freiermuth has played less than half of Pittsburgh's offensive snaps in 2025. That's surprising given that Freiermuth is the highest-paid tight end on the team's roster. Freiermuth is the 6th highest-paid Steelers player this season. But if the Steelers need extra beef with Washington and depth lineman Spencer Anderson to run the ball effectively, then it might be difficult for Freiermuth to earn playing time. Rookie quarterback Will Howard, who is currently on the reserve/injured list, hasn't played a snap for the team in the preseason or regular season after suffering a hand injury in training camp. It hasn't been an easy way for a rookie to start his NFL career, but he's handled it like a true pro. Will has handled the injury like a professional, just as we would expect him to, said quarterbacks coach Tom Arth. I'm really appreciative of our athletic training staff, our strength and conditioning staff. They've done a fantastic job working with Will and helping him get back. The strength and conditioning from a lifting standpoint, running standpoint, also doing just drill work with him. They've really kept him up to speed. He's in great shape right now, and he's in as good a shape as he's been since he's been a Pittsburgh Steeler, and he's been doing everything that he can. It was disappointing, but that's football, and that's just sometimes the way it goes. Sure, we would have loved to have seen him play and compete. He had a great training camp, great offseason, and we expected him to go into the preseason and perform very well. And it was disappointing that we didn't get a chance to see that come to fruition. But he's maximized this time that he's had. I think he's continued to improve physically and mentally, so whenever he's available and if he's able to come back and practice at any point, I'm sure he'll be ready to go. Despite not getting on the field, though, he has contributed in ways that are hard to measure. Howard has been a constant in meetings, at practice and games, providing help for quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the offense. From a mental standpoint, he's been doing some special projects for Aaron, said Arth. He's been really locked in mentally to our plan, really locked into our opponent, has been able to help Aaron out in some really great ways, and he's been able to help our coaching staff. So he's done a nice job. While Howard has done what he can to help Rodgers and the offense, Rodgers in turn has been a source of every bit of information he needs. The veteran quarterback has taken the rookie under his wing, showing him the tricks of the trade and being an open book. Will sits right next to him in our meeting room, said Arth. He stands as close to him as he can at practice every single day. He just soaks it all in, and Aaron's been awesome in that regard as well. He's just been so open with Will and with all the quarterbacks, honestly, in terms of sharing some small little details of what he does. Just some of the shortcuts and tricks that he's picked up throughout the years that have helped him, and I just think it's been awesome for all of us. Arth also weighed in on a few other topics regarding the quarterback position, including the following. On Rodgers' accuracy and ability to hit a receiver in the right spot. When you're evaluating a quarterback, his ability to put the ball in the proper location to allow receivers to run through catches, to throw receivers open is important. I think the one thing about the NFL that I learned really early, there's no such thing as more open in the NFL. Either you are or you aren't, and that just speaks to the ball placement piece. Whether that's a back shoulder throw, or just understanding defenders' hips and shoulders and vision, and things like that. That's something that Aaron does extraordinarily well. And then to be able to put the ball on a crossing route or a breaking route, and to be able to put it on his upfield shoulder and allow him to run through it and not break stride. I think you saw that in DK's Metcalf touchdown this past weekend. If that ball's behind him at all, it may not be an 80-yard touchdown, maybe a first down. So, ball placement accuracy is everything. On Rodgers standing behind the offense, hands on hips, and signaling for a first down on the Connor Hayward tush-push play, I think he was pretty happy to stand there in the background and just signal first down. If you guys saw that, it was pretty funny. Aaron's super competitive, and I'm sure that he always wants the ball in his hands or wants to contribute in any way that he can. I did not notice it on the field until we're on the plane flying home, and I saw it on tape. But that's one of the things you love about Aaron is he is fun. He enjoys the game, and it's great to see him out there enjoying it and having fun, and he's still playing like he's a young kid in the backyard. It's those little things you would think after 21 years that maybe a player wouldn't find as much joy in the game, and that's what's been so amazing for me to coach him is he makes it really fun. He loves to compete, he loves to play, he loves to practice, and it's awesome to be a part of. The Pittsburgh Steelers find themselves once again embroiled in trade rumors regarding a talented pass catcher, none other than Saints WR Chris Olave. After George Pickens was dealt to the Dallas Cowboys, the Steelers are missing a reliable receiver opposite DK Metcalf, and it was reported that the Steel City checked in on Olave's availability. Despite excitement surrounding the potential acquisition, several reports regarding his value and the Saints' desire to keep their receiver may have killed off any hope for a Steelers trade. Fear not, however, as these three trade targets not only make perfect sense for Pittsburgh, but could be available for cheaper than Olave's projected price tag. Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphins, similar to George Pickens, whose trade value was heavily impacted by his on- and off-the-field antics, Hill's situation is no different. From walking away from his team mid-game to vocalizing his desire to leave the Dolphins to reporters, the Steelers could acquire the six-time All-Pro WR at a bargain. He and DK Metcalf would terrorize opposing secondaries in what would arguably become the fastest wide receiver room in the league. Allen Lazard, New York Jets. Whenever Aaron Rodgers decides to join the Steelers, which could be any day now with training camp rapidly approaching, the pairing with Lazard makes too much sense to pass up. From their days on the Packers to the Jets, the four-time MVP QB brought the most out of Lazard and could do so again on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Romeo Dew, Packers. After the Packers drafted Matthew Golden and Savion Williams back in April, Dew time in Green Bay could be coming to an end sooner rather than later. Dew blends size, toughness, and speed at the receiver position and would be a perfect fit opposite Metcalf on the Steelers' offense.